Ross Coulthart and Jesse Michaels have just sat down together to do a podcast episode where they spoke about all things UFO. And I probably won't use the term bombshell in the title of the video because that is just one thing that is guaranteed to trigger the community, but it is pretty bombshell, I can't lie. Some of the things that have come out are absolutely huge. So in the video that was titled, I located a UFO base in Arizona featuring Ross Coulthart on Jesse Michaels' YouTube channel. They obviously sat down together and spoke about a hell of a lot of things. And there is, I've got to say, a lot. It was an hour and 50-minute episode, so you can imagine they went into quite a lot of depth with a lot of things. The first thing that they kind of touched upon was the Booga Sphere incident, which obviously is in the hands of Jamie Maussan right now. I don't need to go over it. You already probably are very well aware. It was obviously discovered in Colombia and handed over to Jamie Maussan to kind of do some discoveries on. But the sphere is described as an aluminium alloy 3 times harder than any conventional aerospace materials. However, skepticism exists, of course, as it kind of resembles a 9-litre fuel tank, raising questions about its authenticity straight off the bat. But then, interestingly, and I think this is one of the biggest points that was brought up within the whole podcast, it was this Sedona, Arizona, and Secret Mountain. So, as you can imagine, Ross Coulthart reports observing large pulsating golden orbs escorted by Black Hawk helicopters over Secret Mountains near Sedona at 1:30 a.m., suggesting a secret underground military facility. And straight off the very start of the YouTube video, if you listen to it here, this is kind of the key talking point that they kind of get people enticed with. Listen to this.
If you looked at a particular place over Secret Mountain, you would see this big orb being escorted by helicopters rising from behind Secret Mountain. And we watched at 1:30 in the morning, and sure enough, up comes this beautiful golden orb, gigantic. It pulses, it's plasmatic.
And so where my mind might go with that is that this is some sort of global control system.
But an object about a mile behind us and it's following us. Let's hope they're friendly.
One of the first things that one of my sources in that Georgetown pub back in probably 2018 told me was, it's all about consciousness.
You've probably met more people in and around these programs than anybody else alive.
You are saying to the human race, we are not alone.
We're definitely not alone.
Obviously, it's a very, very good episode. I do highly encourage everyone to go and check it out, right? But that key part there about the Secret Mountain was something that really kind of caught my eye, especially because according to Coulthart, evidence does suggest that a 50-foot wide reinforced steel concrete structure detected by ground penetrating radar, significant electrical infrastructure, and reports of restricted access by armed personnel hinting at non-human intelligence or advanced technology going on within that secret facility. Mind-boggling. This is all in Arizona, by the way. And then, obviously, they go on to talk about some other things. But what also was really, really interesting was his talk about David Grush, right? Because according to Coulthart, and from what he's reported, he was actually detained by US Customs and Border Protection after he did that key interview with David Grush. Now, we already know that on the build-up to that interview, David Grush was being highly, highly encouraged by people of high authority positions within government not to do that. And if he did do it, or they got any inkling of him doing it, they would arrest him, throw him away in a prison cell to rot and die, according to David Grush, or potentially even worse. But Coulthart also got the brunt of this because apparently, after that interview, he said that he was detained by US Custom and Border Protection, and basically, apparently, according to him, high-level flag was placed on his file and suspects someone from the agency was responsible for this. This is the kind of little clip of that.
I have to admit, I had my computer on auto-delete if it was opened.
Yeah.
When I came through customs.
Wow.
And I was ready to go live on national television if I was detained by Border Protection.
Wow.
Which actually happened to me after I did the Grush story.
Really?
Yeah, after I did the Grush story, I was detained and held by CBP.
Oh, my God.
And a mutual friend of ours made some inquiries and confirmed that there'd been some kind of a flag put on my on my file. And
Unbelievable.
unfortunately, it was so high level, they couldn't access it. But basically, somebody, I suspect from the agency, had flagged, we want to know when Coulthart comes through next, and let's cause him some mischief. And I have to admit, we have a euphemism in Australia, tearing somebody a new asshole. I just wasn't going to put up with it. I summoned my anger and basically yelled at Border Protection and said, I strongly advise that you get on the phone, whoever it is that's flagged me, contact them now or tell them I will be going live on television in about 10 minutes to talk about the fact that I'm being illegally held. I have a valid visa. You have no good reason to hold me. If you want to fight, you can have one. And I was let out.
I mean, fair enough, I guess. Do you know what I mean? Like, you got to have some balls to be able to do that. But this is quite a common, consensus when it comes to these kinds of things, isn't it? You've got Bob Lazar talking about the dead man's trigger or whatever it is that you want to call it. And now you've got Russ Coulthart who's like, I'll go live on television in 10 minutes if you don't let me go. I mean, it's one hell of a threat to make. And, he also goes on to talk about some other key kind of points within the UFO sphere, right? Like, for example, government and media cover-ups. So he talks about, deliberate conspiracies to conceal UAP evidence involving leadership cabal and intimidation tactics such as buzzing congressional staffers with homes with helicopters, and mainstream medias, including the New York Times, being criticised for ignoring credible UAP stories like David Grush, Jake Barber, all the rest of it, despite public interest in those matters. And obviously, we've just had the Wall Street Journal also literally absolutely kaput any form of credibility that they may have had left. With that journal basically, or that article saying, nothing's going on. And people are like, hang on, there's literal evidence that you've reported on in the past that suggests the contrary, which, that's obviously a huge talking point right now. And he's also gone on to talk about, basically how UFO journalism has completely gone down the shitter because there's no ethical journalism left. So he references a massive buried UFO too large to move, obviously within this as well, and he withholds details to protect sources and holds national security, emphasizing journalistic ethics over full disclosure. But he's already kind of mentioned this one as well. I think it was believed to be in Korea. If I remember, if memory serves me right, I think it was in Korea. Let me know if I'm wrong about that in the comments. But I'm pretty sure, it was Soho. No, not Soho. Where was it? I think it was Korea direction. South Korea, that is. But, yeah, it's all up in the air. And, Ross Coulthart has ruffled a few feathers recently. And, he's got his detractors and his, people that love him. More so now, people kind of have been like, he was great and now he's not. I don't know why. I quite like him. I think he's a great guy. Never spoken to him personally, but just based off of how he portrays himself within interviews and stuff, I think he's, a pretty decent person. But, he could be pulling the wool over everyone else's eyes, just like the rest of them. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments below. Way down there, jump scare the hell out of the like button and subscribe. And until next time, I'll speak to you later. Peace.